This is a Wild Age Production podcast.
You remember.
Roll your stealth roll?
Game books, pencils, pizza, cheese puffs, and a hell of a lot of dice.
And the dragon woke up.
Roll for Initiative. This is the Roll for Initiative podcast, where 1E is the place to be.
Welcome to Roll for Initiative podcast. Okay, guys, Roll for Initiative Volume 9, Episode 214. I am not the Cloud Giant from Episode 213, nor is Nick Willie, the Slime Beast.
Darn it, here I am.
But returning from the Netherworld is Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hi, everyone. I hopped on a roller coaster and got sucked in through a portal, but I found my way back, so it's okay.
He got better.
Was it cool?
Yeah.
Well, there was this maze and all, and I had to go up some stairs. And
that's this episode.
Was there Dungeons and Dragons?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, boy. So, last episode was definitely a doozy. This is the beginning of the new season, Season 2, which we had discovered started, what was the date that this one started, Nick?
Well, let's go. Well, yes, it was The Girl Who Dreamed Tomorrow, and original air date was September 8th, 1984. So you had to wait a whole 9 months from December of the previous year to see a whole new episode of the D&D cartoon.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, back then they had it on repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. We probably didn't even notice because we were little kids going, "Oh boy, a new episode!"
Right.
I noticed.
You know, and this is also when they moved to their new time slot at 11 a.m. From the 9:30 spot.
Yeah, that would be like, because it would start at 11. That would be like, okay, I'm going to get right, because that was my to remind me, my visual cue that I was going to have to get dressed and get ready to go down to the hobby store, meet all my friends, and go gaming for that weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably jumped right to the gaming store after that.
Yeah, at 11:30, I said, "Dad, gotta take me over to Star Realm."
Yeah, you can take me over to Star Realm to play some games with my friends.
I want to see all my friends here.
I had my
It's
cereal.
awesome.
I cleaned my room. I'm good.
You didn't stick around for the show following Dungeons and Dragons, Pryor's Place, Richard Pryor's live-action kids show.
Apparently,
No.
I like blocked that out of my memory.
Yeah, I blocked that out of my memory too.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
Just
Thinking,
no.
was that worse or was the Hammerman cartoon worse?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
MC Hammer had his own cartoon too.
Oh dear Lord!
It was called Hammerman. He had magic shoes that turned him into Hammerman, and he was a superhero.
my cartoons apparently were limited by living in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah.
So
Well, there was also at this time period, Mr. T had his cartoon, whereas Mr. T and his band of kids in like a van doing things.
Creepy van.
yes.
Was it
Anyway,
Mr.
we
T?
better move on before this degenerates into.
Yeah, okay, let's
something
get on
like
to the
creepy
episode. Go ahead,
vans
Nick.
and
Continue.
candy for kids. So yeah, this one's called "The Girl Who Dreamed Tomorrow," directed by John Gibbs, and written by Carl Gurus.
Yeah, somebody different for once.
Carl Gurus.
Yeah.
So the synopsis of the episode. Spoiler alert.
There's a giant.
hear it.
Oh, sorry.
The kids meet Terry, a lost child like themselves, who is also a clairvoyant, who can dream the future and leads them towards their doorway home, where trouble awaits. Bobby must make a heartbreaking choice to save his soulmate, Terry, from Venger. This one actually on the IMDb has an 8-star rating.
Really?
And I could kind of see why.
Yeah.
All right.
It's actually a pretty decent episode.
I liked it.
Because I liked it because there's a point where this episode gets pretty darn dark. Little foreshadowing. So we start off our episode. Our intrepid heroes are like hanging on a vine or a gourd over a gorge. So like either a vine or rope.
I wasn't sure what that was. Yeah.
I think it was like a rope. but they're trying to get away from some bullywugs on the other side of this like gorge.
They look like
And
turtles.
They all leap off the vine, and Eric's like, ha ha ha, and he's like, oh, I'm the only one left.
Of course.
And then Hank tries to help. So what does Hank do?
Shoots.
He shoots at the vine and cuts it in half where some of the bullywugs are hanging. They fall into a river below.
I still say they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
They look like
the
turtles.
bullywugs are on the other side going, ribbit, 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 we hate you. And
yeah,
the vine, and he ends up in the bushes, and his foot like thunks upon something metal, and he just finds one of the cars from the D&D amusement park ride, right?
Yeah.
So, Hank, I believe, asks Presto if he can make it work, and Presto is about to start a spell, but the bullywugs are running towards them. They're running away from the bullywugs, and the bullywugs, because they're chaotic evil, start beating up the car. They're living up to their alignment and their intelligence, by the way.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're destroying the car. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, I've used this trope about a car before.
Okay.
In a dungeon, and I'll tell you where later on.
Oh, all right.
Well, actually, I will tell you right now. Castle Greyhawk. Actually, the one that I used, the Castle Mad Archmage.
Yeah.
That adventure.
Uh-huh.
The original version of that was like all based off of all the notes and everything from Gary Gygax on Castle Greyhawk, right?
Yeah.
Eventually they converted it to Adventures Dark and Deep, but in there, on the first level, there is a car that is all beat up. that the adventurers find. It's like it's been burnt, and you find the license plate and all that, and you're like, what is this thing? So yeah, car in a fantasy adventure, yes. It's sort of a thing.
Meh.
So there's this, all of a sudden there's this dog that pulls on Eric's leg, and he calls it a mangy mutt. Bobby gets all upset and says, maybe he wants him to follow. He wants us to follow him. So this big old floppy-eared, hairy dog running away, and then the bullywugs. I guess cute. The leader sees Eric, and then Eric starts running away like a little girl, like he does, and then the scene changes.
Dog was kind of cute. I mean, come on.
Which actually, I thought this scene change was pretty cool. When this happens, you hear this girl crying, and the lizard men are kind of like staring into the camera.
Yeah.
But then they hear something, and then it cuts towards Bobby holding his club with the dog like snarling like he's Cujo. and Uni like cowering like the little wuss he is behind Bobby. But it's actually a pretty good animation, because he's like in shadow.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So the colors are a bit subdued. It's actually pretty good animation in this episode overall, at least I thought, for season 2. It actually turned out pretty well. And he sees this girl tied up in a tree. She's crying. And he's like, please help me. So the heroes spring into action. They're fighting these lizard men. Eric being Eric, like yelling and screaming. He's like, why does anybody listen to me? Presto actually does something really good. He does this without even saying it. He pulls this like door out of his hat, and like it's rolled up and it pulls down. The lizard man opens the door, and then like he disappears into the door.
So we get
and poof, and the door disappears.
Check mark for that one, I guess.
Yeah.
A big check mark, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it worked.
Yay.
And then Sheila unties her, and then all of a sudden the girl yells, "Where's Diana? Where's Diana? Get her away from the trees." And I'm like, how did she know Diana's name?
Yeah.
And then Diana goes, how did you know my name? and then Eric's like all of a sudden jumping and running around like he's got to go pee and yelling, "There's bullywugs coming here all over the place, the big bullywugs!" And then he's like, "Oh, it's a lizard man. I gotta go. Bye."
Oh yeah, he's jumping around a little crazy, and he grabs what
The lizard man. He goes like, "Just big ugly bullywugs coming our way," and it's like, "Oh yeah.
You dummy, that's not Hank or anybody. Stop it.
It's a lizard man, you moron." So, the bullywugs show up. They're like tossing around. Who was it? They're tossing around. They're tossing around Eric up in the air, like. And then Sheila, like, okay, it's our turn. Sheila then goes all stealth. And she goes in amongst the bullywugs and lizardmen and says, I guess like she was a bullywug right behind a lizardman, and says, "Hey, snake face," and slaps him on the ass. I'm like, okay, go Sheila. And then the bullywugs and lizardmen fight each other. And he's like, and Eric's all caught up in the rabble, and he gets pulled out by Sheila. He's like all flustered, like,
As usual.
And then she's like, "Oh, I'm Terry. This is Freddie." And it's like, does he always get like that? Talking about Eric, and Hank's like, "Yeah, he gets like that from time to time."
Yeah.
And then the scene ends there. Okay.
Yep. Fade to black.
So it's actually this episode, I thought this far was like, this is pretty good. There's some good comedy here.
Yeah.
And I actually think the animation in this episode's really is fairly good.
Yeah.
I thought they did whoever did the animation for this, I thought the studio did a pretty decent job with this one. Maybe because they were starting fresh with season 2, so they started off on the right foot.
Yeah, we don't get any poor drawn orcs or goblins or anything.
No,
like
it's
that.
actually overall pretty darn well drawn.
Yeah.
And then we go to a scene where Terry basically tells her story, how she ended up here. She was in a car in the D&D ride, flash a light, boom. She's there, and she's here with her dog named Freddie. Now, here's my question.
Yeah.
Why is she dressed in normal clothes, and when the heroes got there, they weren't?
Well, my question is, why is she... At first, I'm like, looks old enough to be Bobby's mom.
Yeah.
The way she was dressed.
Yeah.
I'm like, she's wearing the mom jeans. But the only thing about her rendering that makes her seem like a child is her height. Other than that,
Yep.
make her taller. She's their mother.
I was thinking the same thing, because when I first saw her, I'm like, oh, she's probably like Hank's age or Sheila's age or something.
No,
then,
she's Bobby's age.
yeah, and I'm like, wait, no. Okay.
But here's the thing. Why is she in normal clothes for that period?
Because DM didn't give her
when
anything.
the rest of them came here, they were dressed up in the garb of their...
Because she didn't get a class. She
No,
just got a magic
here's
item.
what I think.
She's an
Here's
NPC.
my theory. She wasn't meant to be there, but the heroes were.
Oh.
And if the heroes are here for like the DM to solve things, DM screwed up maybe.
Oh.
Yeah, because that just proves without a shadow of doubt DM is a dick.
Yeah.
Well,
so basically the DM's
Basically, yeah. And the plot holes his D&D ride he keeps meddling with.
right. Because
Which-
what happened to the car that the kids showed up in? If that car's there, where's their car?
Yeah, I know. It's gone.
And also, with this ride, is it a one-time suck-in portal? Is it like every full moon?
Whenever DM decides, apparently.
So whenever it's convenient to further the plot.
Thank you. DM. Dungeon Master is a dick. Plain simple. And I guess we find out because she kind of dreamt about what happened to them.
yeah.
That's how she knew about Diana and the get away from the tree. When she dreams, she sometimes dreams of what happens in the future. And then with all that, Eric was like, whatever, I just want to get some sleep. And then, oh no. And DM shows up. So DM announces that he knows of a way home for them. Again, because he always has a way for them to get home.
Right. This is turning into Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
Other people are randomly showing up on the island. Everyone else can get off except these kids.
Or it's like Fantasy Island, and he's like Mr. Rourke.
Yeah.
Which would make Uni tattoo.
explains a
So
lot.
basically, he says there's a portal to their home in the mountains, but the problem is, in order to use it, they also have to destroy it before going through. And I'm like, how is this a way home? DM, you are a dick. It's like, there's a portal there, but you can't go through it. You have to destroy it.
Well, no, the only reason they have to destroy it is so no one else shows up.
Right, but they don't necessarily know that yet. They only know his little cryptic thing about, to get when you get to the portal, you must destroy it. I'm like, well, what's the point, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But they kind of figure, it's a way for maybe her to get home, for Terry to get home. So in that case, so they're gonna go find it. He also mentioned that there is a maze of darkness to get to this portal, and to find the maze, they must get lost. And then DM disappears.
As usual.
So Bobby's like, yeah, we'll get the kid home. And his sister's like, that's very rude. You're about the same age. And Terry's like, it's okay. Good night, Bobby. He's like, yeah, good night. He's like, yeah, good night. Whatever.
Good night.
And scene.
Yeah.
Where we get to Venger's castle.
Yay.
For a brief moment. And we get to this scene where you see Venger. He's like, he was surprised that his minions got defeated by them. I'm like, why should you be surprised by now? Your minions suck, Venger. I mean, come on. It's like, I cannot believe they defeated my bullywugs and lizardmen. How many times before have they defeated your bullywugs and lizardmen, Venger?
Lots.
Why are you surprised by this?
Yeah, he shouldn't be at all at this point. I mean, come on.
I know. He should be surprised if they succeed.
I know it's a new season and all, but come on, dude.
Come on.
I mean, they took out Tiamat in the first episode. Of course they're going to defeat some bullywugs.
I know. I mean, come on. They're just cannon fodder. So Shadow Demon shows up and tells Venger, because he was spying on them, because he's a Shadow Demon's a perv.
Ew.
That they got help from he sounds like one. Hey, Venger.
Let me creep on you from the window.
They got help from a little girl. Maybe he's not that creepy.
No, definitely not.
But then Venger turns around and goes, a girl? I'm about ready to hear him to say, is she hot?
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
Thankfully.
And scene. Because I was expecting that. That's just in my sick mind. A girl? Is she hot? Anyway, so we go back to their camp, and you notice that she has this locket of a heart, and it sparkles and makes a tinkling noise, and then she starts to dream, because you see the kind of wavy lines. Diddle-doo, diddle-doo.
Not Wayne's World.
No, but I had to make the noise because diddle-doo, diddle-doo.
That's a flashback noise, by the way.
Well, whatever. So a bright light wakes Eric, and you see this pyramid with this portal to their world on top. And at first thing I thought, hey, it's Ghostbusters. It's Gozer the Gozerian.
Yep.
It's like the temple from Ghostbusters.
Yes, it is actually.
It's It's not a portal to their home. It's to Gozer the Gozerian.
And it would be the right time frame. This was
1984.
Ghostbusters was 83.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That looks really like that pyramid, doesn't it?
It
Kinda,
does.
Sort of.
It
Yes,
does.
it
Kind of, sort of. So I'm going with them. Yes, they're getting sucked into being eaten by Gozer the Gozerian. So the portal does start sucking them in. They start flying towards it. We're gonna go home, Terry. And then a black cloud appears in front of the portal in the shape of Venger. And then this Hydra appears, and it's like grabs Bobby and Uni and shoots fire. So it's a Pyro Hydra. Look that up in your monster manual, folks. Pyro Hydra. It's there. And they actually did it correctly. It's kind of reddish.
Yep.
They'd have no more than 7 heads, and I counted this one. I believe it has 5. So
new season, new approach.
New approach. We want to be accurate to the monster manual, all the other monsters there and the other thingies. So get it right. That's the memo from Gary.
Yeah, Gary got made fun of by his other actor friends, so he's trying to get it right this time.
So no more parties at his house. Yeah, it's a 5-headed Pyro Hydra. She runs away. She's running towards this maze, right? And she's running through it, and the walls start crumbling down around her. She falls into a hole, and Bobby wakes her up. It's all a dream.
Yeah.
She starts crying and falls into Bobby's arms.
Aww.
Eric gets up. He's like, "What the hell is all this noise?" Well, he doesn't say that, but he says, "What is all the noise? Why don't you shut up?" And Bobby gets all indignant and points at it like, "You shut up!" I'm like, "Whoa!"
Like a little boy who's in love.
Love. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, the subtitle for this episode is "Bobby Gets a Girlfriend."
Bobby gets a girl. Well, I don't want to. I want to skip ahead.
Yes.
So Diana goes over to Hank, kind of to an aside. She's like, "You thinking what I'm thinking, Hank?"
They want to get it
like,
on. Oh,
no, not that. They're not going to get it on.
sorry. Go ahead.
All of a sudden, Sheila.
They're not going to get their twiddle on.
No.
Sheila and Hank now have the Fred and Daphne relationship.
I don't know, but it's like Hank's like, I hope it wasn't a bad dream about us. So it was the whole kind of like Star Wars, I got a bad feeling about this going on.
Yeah.
And then the scene ends, which it goes into like, all of a sudden I'm looking at these meadows, and there Eric's yelling, "Hey, breakfast time." And it looks like it looks like Oz.
Yeah, it looks like
all the flowers, all the poppies and everything.
They're rolling around laughing. I'm like, oh, they're doing the Wizard of Oz. Instead of falling asleep, they're all going to fall down laughing.
But so everybody's like, what's for breakfast there, Eric? Boiled beetles, dragon stew, and he kind of has this look like chickens. Because he's using the dog and Uni to find, I guess, breakfast, and these giant chicken things show up, but they look like cockatrices to me. So apparently everybody made their save and didn't turn to stone because Bobby and Terry ride off on these things,
laughing.
They fall into the flowers, rolling around and laughing, and Eric gets all indignant and bitchy, like he usually does.
Yeah.
And so. And to put an end to all that, the Pyro Hydra shows up
again. Well, yeah, for real this time.
The real one.
Yeah.
I just said I've used Pyro Hydra and real in the same sentence. Oh my god. Well, a battle ensues, right? And apparently Terry just goes frickin' berserks and runs towards the Hydra and starts punching it. I'm like, what?
This is why she's Bobby's girlfriend.
Well, she's crazy, man.
Bobby's
trying
crazy.
to take on a Pyro Hydra herself. Terry ducks with Bobby under Eric's shield, and then Bobby's like, "What are you doing?" It's like being, what do you say, being stupid.
Yeah.
And then there's this waterfall, and they go, and somebody yells. I think might be not Sheila, but it might be Diana. It says, "Everybody, quick behind the waterfall!" So they get behind it, and they're trapped. And because I thought it was like just dead end right there, and Bobby's like, "Not for long!" Bam! Knocks down like portion of the wall. It starts leaking water and rocks and everything. And I'm like, wait, hold on a second here. Wouldn't they get killed with all these rocks and water coming down?
No.
You would think, but he hit it in just the right spot and knew how it would collapse. It was a controlled demolition of the waterfall.
Apparently, Bobby has a degree in engineering.
Yes.
Yes, with an emphasis on plate tectonics.
He studied structural engineering in the second grade.
And geography and geology. And so the rocks in the water knock over the hydra, and I guess it washes away. Then the scene fades to black, and that's, commercial break.
Dun,
So
dun, dun.
So as a kid, of course, I go get a bowl of cereal. And we get back from the commercial, and all of a sudden you see, it's a deeper cave. So they could have got in further, unless maybe that was something that Bobby did.
Yeah. Maybe it was blocked. Maybe that cave was...
But the kids are okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bobby's like, that's the bravest thing I've seen. And, and she goes, well, what you did was very brave. And then like Eric gets like, well, okay, when was it? And Bobby says, well, that's the second bravest thing I saw was like Eric using his shield. And Eric's like, well, don't everybody thank me at once. And Sheila's like, Sheila and who was it? They go together. Thank you, Eric.
I think it was Diana together, probably.
Oh, it was Sheila and Presto.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Okay.
And Eric's like, whatever.
Whatevs.
So the scene fades from there, and you see Venger. He's on his nightmare, and he's at basically what's left of the waterfall. He says he must find the source of her power, and then shall dream no more.
Dun, dun, dun.
Maniacal laugh. Insert here. Because he wants to see into tomorrow. Apparently, the precognition spell does not exist in the realms.
At least not in his spell book.
Not in his spell book. He didn't memorize it. So the scene then goes over into another where they're in like a desert with obsidian rocks. I'm assuming they're obsidian because they're like super sharp.
Yeah.
So it's a weird desert, which, there are a lot of deserts in the realms here, which still leads to my post-apocalyptic Earth theory.
No.
I'm sticking with it, man.
All right. Settle down.
So Presto suggests maybe I should turn the rocks into rubber, but before that, a windstorm in the form of Venger kicks up and starts blowing sand and the rocks around.
Yeah.
And then we fade to commercial. We come back, the wind's blowing. Freddy, the dog, is barking for them to follow him. And they follow him through, like, I guess, a doorway. And they shut the door behind themselves.
Yeah.
And they turn around and they see the maze of darkness beyond the door they went into. And Terry mentioned that it's a maze full of traps. And then beyond that, you see, oh my God, it's Gozer's Temple again.
Yep.
Well, it's the portal. So, this kind of surprised me. At this point, Eric starts arguing about not going towards the portal. And I'm like, it's a way home, doofus.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we're just going to get lost and whatever. I'm like, it's a way home. You've always been wanting to go home, and you turn around and not go that way? I'm like, that's totally against character, I thought.
Yeah, but he's I don't want to do what the group wants to do guy, remember?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess going with that. So Eric's like, let's get through this door. And before he does, it looks like molten lava starts coming through the edges of the door and seals them in. And Eric's like, I'll give you 3 guesses who did it. And then Bobby's like, oh, Avenger. So, and that cuts the Avenger, and he says, pretty much gets him trapped. They have to go through his maze of darkness. So they cut back to the group. And the scene immediately opens up with Eric almost falling in a pit, which I thought was kind of interesting. And Bobby kind of saves him from falling in. They're wandering around. They are obviously lost because the ranger sucks, because the thief sucks. Walls are like moving in and cutting off their way so they can backtrack.
But we do see them.
Well, they're all tired and they start to lay down, right?
Wait.
What?
You do see that they finally were smart about one thing and using Diana's pole to check for traps.
That's true. They were.
They were using a 10-foot pole correctly.
Well, it's not a 10-foot pole, but they're using a pole.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Okay. Yeah, I totally get it. They're using... Yeah, I missed that part. Let me see. Where was that?
After the pit, like the next scene, she was
they're
very
walking around and she's poking?
Yeah, she's poking at the ground.
Damned. Yeah, you're right. I totally missed it. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're poking around. Either she's poking around for traps or looking for hidden doors.
Yeah, so she's basically doing what you're supposed to do in those type of situations.
Right. They actually did that sort of thing. So they're all like winded.
Season 2.
And then because another wall like slams their way behind them. They all like lay down because they're running around. They're tired and everything. Terry turns and she screams into the face of like some rusted out armor, and she starts crying because that's all she does.
Yep.
They mention that, and there's all these suits of rusted out armor, but they're all the same type, like it's the same army. All right. So there was like a battle fought long ago in this area
amongst
themselves. It looks like they fought each other.
Ooh.
And this is where the series gets a little dark. You'll notice that Eric starts blaming Terry for them being lost. It's all her fault. You notice the animation gets really dark with lots of reds and blacks.
Yep.
And Bobby gets all defensive and trying to defend her. The dog gets all Cujo again. And everybody starts mocking Bobby. And he's like, it's your girlfriend, your goody girlfriend. And like everybody's getting into it. Uni's like freaking out normally. And then, I mean, this is like a really dark point in the episode, in this show. Yeah. I'm like, wow, how did this get past? But the voice of reason, Hank, is like, knock it off. Shoots his bow into the air and somehow breaks the spell of the maze.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, what just happened? And Eric's like, hey, Bobby, don't wrinkle the goods. And Hank obviously surmises that the maze somehow affects people's minds.
Yeah.
So basically, it drives you to anger. Fear leads to anger. And anger leads to suffering.
No, stop it. No.
Yes. Because you know what Hank did to defeat it was they had the weird red mood lighting, and that's what made everyone angry. So when he shot his bow into the air, it made a giant burst of shining bright light.
Yes.
And it was the brightness taking out the darkness that brought everyone back.
That's it.
Minus
200 experience points.
Yes. And then Eric gets all indignant. He goes, I have a mind of a steel trap. And he's holding a helmet. And the helmet, like, the eyes glow green and goes, beware, Cavalier.
Beware, Cavalier.
No, not in the Brooklyn accent. No. I'm going to get you with my friend Willie. So, the scene fades again to another one where Hank uses his bow to climb the wall, uses an energy shot.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't quite
get how that bow works half the time.
Well, my other question
Whatever's
is,
convenient
why
to
are
the
they
plot.
why are they going through the maze if they can just climb over every wall?
Yeah, that was what I was. Why don't they just walk across the walls? I mean, I know there were spikes up there, but they could have just walked around those.
Right. You could, or just did it enough to get a straight line and just keep scaling walls.
Yeah,
I know.
Just
I know,
American
that's
Ninja Warrior, this stuff.
Yeah. Jim Cotta around their way.
American
But,
Gladiators.
Parkour.
So
No.
anyway, so Hank says, we're almost there. And Hank's like, all right, I guess it's time for a break. Okay. So he's going to take a few zoos himself. So
Yeah, everybody falls asleep.
Terry starts dreaming. Her necklace did the glowy tinkly thing. And she dreams of that she's at school. And the bell rings and she's leaving class. And then who does she see is Bobby.
Aww.
And he has her locket and runs towards her. And then DM wakes her up. So this is one of those few times in her life where you had a good dream about school. I'm like, really? Whoever had a good dream about school? Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Ever.
So this is obviously saying to the kids, you can't have good dreams about school. Yeah. So anyway, DM wakes her and says this dream will come true too. So
Meh. Eventually.
that gives him, that's like, okay, cool, whatever. But it comes important a little bit later on, right? We'll see.
Sure.
But DM tells Avenger using his maze and the portal to lure people to their doom. And I'm like, okay, why? What's the ultimate result? Just to be a real jackhole? I mean,
because he's evil.
And then
just like that.
Just because he's Venger.
If only he had the mustache to twirl, he would be twirling.
I know. So DM mentions about the Warriors that they were actually former pupils of Dungeon Master. So, you know what that tells me? DM's not a very good mentor.
No, he is a truly old school DM who believes in a good TPK.
So
okay, I can run with that. So he's actually a very good DM.
Yes.
Just a terrible mentor to other people.
Exactly.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, Terry's like, I remember in my dream how to get out. So they're following Terry. She tears off running. And then the walls start crumbling around them. They finally make it out to Gozer's temple. Sorry.
Stop it.
I can't resist. It's Gozer's temple, dude.
When they look through the portal, they see the Ghostbusters on the other side with their proton packs trying to close it.
Hey, no, they don't. Stop it.
No.
Stop it.
Sorry. But anyway, so they make it to this pyramid where the portal is, but Venger shows up.
Of course.
There he is. He's like, you can go through the portal, but the girl stays with me.
No, not the weapons of power he's been after for the entire first season. Nah, you guys can keep those. I want the girl and the thing.
Yeah,
Right.
That was another thing I mentioned. I'm like, he's been all about the weapons of power. And all of a
he's
sudden now it's like, nah, I want the girl. I'm like, you're a sicko, dude.
Yeah.
He's like,
You're
I want to
really
see the
not
future.
just evil. You're sick and evil.
He's a creeper.
Yeah, he's got a van that says candy on the side.
She was going to be saying
So-
#MeToo now later on.
Oh my god.
Go
All
on.
right, you went there.
Yeah, I
you
went
went there, dude. So it's your show.
Go on.
So Hank is like, nope, Terry is coming with us, but here's what I like the best, what Diana says. She's like, you want her? She gets that bow staff out. Come and get her. I'm like, yeah. Diana getting attitude.
Yeah, she's getting sassy.
I like it. And that's why everybody liked Diana.
Yeah.
She's a sassy little girl.
Stop it.
Anyway, Avenger then gets all uses his magic to turn himself into, I really don't know what the hell this thing is.
It was something.
Some sort of dragon demon thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it a demon dragon because it kind of looks like a combination of a demon and a dragon.
It looked like something from anime.
Actually, it's well drawn and animated.
Yeah, it was cool looking.
It looks like something out of a nightmare. It does.
Looks like something from a Japanese animation, honestly.
Oh my God! Yeah, we're not going to go too far down that road. So a battle ensues.
Legend of the Over. Never mind.
No.
Okay.
So
sorry.
A battle ensues there. Presto becomes really good at his hat again.
Twiddling.
He knows how to twiddle right.
Yeah.
And he pulls like hundreds of rat traps out of his hat, and they snap onto one of the Avengers demon dragon forms, I guess tail or tentacle. I don't know. I guess he has multiple tails in it. They all snapped onto it. I'm like, and it really irritated the hell out of this thing. So I'm like, cool. So, and Eric's like, hey, that's pretty good. He actually gave Presto a compliment. So, Bobby heads up with Terry towards the portal. So he picks her up and tosses her towards the portal. She hangs onto him. She's like, what about you? And he's like, gets all sniffly eyed and everything, and tosses her into the portal, and Demon Dragon Avengers heading towards them. And she flies into the portal and tosses her locket in towards Bobby and says, remember what DM said. But now they still have to destroy the portal so nobody else can get, I guess, so nobody else can go home? So nobody else can, go through the maze and...
Right. No, so no one else can get through the maze you easily got through?
Yeah. So it's not making much sense here. So here's where it got a little foggy. And Eric all of a sudden says, this will never work, Bobby. I'm like, what won't work? What? Did you come up with a plan while you guys were in the maze that we don't know about?
Yeah,
you didn't tell the audience?
Yeah, off camera they developed an elaborate plan. They didn't have time for the episode, so they're just like, yeah, we'll just go with it.
I mean, am I the only one that kind of caught that? I'm like, what plan? Not gonna work. And so Bobby says, it will if you don't miss. So Bobby runs towards Diana, tosses him in the air, and then Eric, using his shield like a baseball bat, hits Bobby into the pyramid with his mace or his club and destroys the pyramid. Yep.
They did their version of the fastball special.
You caught that too.
Yes.
I thought I was the only one of nope. it's the D&D version of the X-Men's fastball special. I'm like
that is a fastball special.
That's the fastball special that Wolverine and Colossus used to do. Yep. I'm like, good, I'm not the only one who caught that. I'm like, okay, vindication here.
Yeah.
Let me soak that in. That just shows sick minds think alike. Mm-hmm. So the Demon Dragon Avenger form falls into the rubble, and I guess the portal then disappears. And then the scene fades to where Bobby is sitting in the sand, and he's sad, and he's going, meh, and everybody's ignoring her, and Hank's like, Bobby, hey Bobby, and Bobby's like, I'll be right there, and Hank's like, just whenever you're ready, buddy. So yeah, he's obviously very sad that his soulmate Terry's gone. Not gonna cry. Suck it up. But DM shows up, right? which in this point is kind of a cool thing because he wants to toss. As soon as Bobby wants to toss that locket away, DM shows up and says, "Don't do it." But Bobby's like, "I don't want to keep it." But he goes, "Well, that's fine, but why don't you hold on to it so you can give it back to her when you see her?" And he says that Terry had her last dream before he went. Do you want to know what it is? So off camera, apparently DM tells Bobby what Terry's dream is. So we cut back up to the rest of the group. And Eric is polishing up his shield, and Presto says something to the effect of, "Isn't that enough spit and polish?" And Eric's like, "There's never too much spit and polish. But I ran out of spit an hour ago." I thought that was pretty good. Spit about an hour ago, so hey. So Hank's like, "Bobby, he's lost his best friend." And Bobby starts running back. He goes, "Hey guys, guess what? Guess what happened? Where do you hear it?" And he's running over with the locket. He goes, "Yahoo!" And end. That is the end of our episode, The Girl Who Dreamed Tomorrow.
Yay!
Yay.
And I thought this was a pretty darn good episode.
Yeah.
I liked it. I could see why I got an 8.
Yeah, it was pretty good at the end. I was like, this is a really good episode.
Now, with that being said, how would you use this sort of thing in an adventure? Now, I actually have something.
I want to hear it.
Remember that, and it ties into that dungeon, the Castle Mad Archmage. There's an NPC, I think it's on the first level, that the party could potentially run into. And he's been trapped in the castle, the dungeons of the Mad Archmage, so he's kind of gone nuts himself. But how it worked in my campaign is the magic user in the group, who's not a very good one, got proficient in throwing bricks because they found a pile of bricks somewhere, and he threw a brick at him, and he hit him. He hit him, and then I think he did a called shot to his head and knocked him out. So the mage knocked this guy out, who's like, he looks like a fighter, a warrior of some type. And then he comes to, and he says, "Who are you guys?" He's wearing scale mail. He's got a shield and everything, got a sword. It's like, "What happened? I don't quite remember." And they ask who he is. His name, my name's Douglas Wilson, and I'm from a place called Earth. And I'm not quite sure how I got here. All I remember was I was playing this game with my friends. With all these, they invited me to this game, and it's called Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, I went there. And we were playing this game, and I just remembered, I'm sitting there with all my friends, and then, there was something that was going to happen, and then everything got really dark in the room, and this, the doors started blowing open, and, the smoke came in, and next thing I know, what I found out later on, I'm miles away, or a mile away, I'm looking over the city of Greyhawk there in a field. And my friends are there, but one of them is like a dwarf, and the other one's an elf. They're not human. And the rest of the party, when I'm going through all this, and this is, a brief synopsis of what happened when they were getting information from him. Everybody in the group was like, "What?" It's like, how did all this happen? So it's kind of the same thing here with Terry getting from Earth to a lost world and everything. So it's kind of the same thing, I guess, in a way. But I also borrowed it from a series of books. Was it the Guardians of the Flame series? If you haven't read them before, they're actually very good books. and it's kind of based on that whole same premise. So I highly recommend them. It's Guardians of the Flame series. I forget the first book is. In the series is called, it's The Chain and the Dragon, I think. But it's Guardians of the Flame. But I kind of borrowed that. Now he's like an NPC in the party, and he's like, they eventually find out it's like he wants to get home, and they say, we're going to find a way of getting you home, getting you back to this place called Earth. So that's kind of a side quest for them.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah. So they think there might be a way. If I remember correctly, Doug Wilson here says, we went here because we had hopes of maybe finding a way of home here, because there was rumors like there's like portals to other worlds, and he's like, well, maybe there's one in here. And unfortunately, the rest of his friends died, and he was the only one left, and he's been trying to find his way out. That's why he went like nuts.
Yeah.
But he got hit on the head with a brick. And knocked some sense into him.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this really almost struck me as more of like a Doctor Who episode plot. You have person displaced in time and space, and then you have to get them back to their homeland. And then at the same time, you may end up maintaining the status quo by not going through the portal.
Oh yeah. I guess it's kind of Doctor Who-ish.
Yeah, with the foreshadowing of her dreams, timey-wimey, and the future isn't exactly how she dreamed, but kind of close, and
right.
So
I can see that. It's kind of that way.
Yeah,
Gozer the Gozerian kind of showed up.
Right. Now I'm just envisioning the Ghostbusters, the end scene of that, looking through the portal is actually the kids from.
That would have been a great crossover if the
and they're sitting there smashing it at the same time the Ghostbusters are zapping it, because that's when the portal was opened the biggest.
That would have been a great crossover. The D&D cartoon and Ghostbusters. That would have been great.
Maybe,
so little did we know it wasn't the fastball special that destroyed it. Was actually the Ghostbusters. It was just going on simultaneously.
Bobby actually broke his neck and probably died, but we don't know.
Right.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, tell us what you think about this episode. Write us in, rfistaff@gmail.com, facebook.com/RFI Podcast. And we're going to head out. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Hey, everybody.
Roll for initiative.